Welcome. We're glad to have you here. I'm Dr. Williams, the supervising doctor for Billings Last Diet. So I'll do a quick introduction to myself and then we'll find out generally about you as well. So I've been involved in weight loss for over 25 years. I've had varying degrees of success with programs. We'll define success in just a couple of seconds, but by far the most successful is the program we're going to show you this evening. So help me define successful weight loss. What do you think? What's successful weight loss to you?
Losing it and keeping it off.
You hear how she did that? Losing it and keeping it. He nailed both of them right off the bat. So the ability to lose the weight and keep it off for how long? Just until you're dead. Nobody gains weight after you die. So that's been my definition from the beginning, the ability to lose weight and to keep it off for the rest of your life. So some of the programs we've done in the past have been good at helping people lose weight. And some of the programs have been good at helping people keep it off. But by far, the program we're going to show you this afternoon, or this evening, is the most successful in losing the weight and keeping it off for the rest of your life. The way we're going to show it to you today, we've been doing for 14 years. We're starting our 15th year. There have been some tweaks to it, but it's basically the same. We've helped thousands of people lose weight. We've lost over 60,000 pounds of fat. I'll tell you, this is one of the most rewarding things that I've done in healthcare. Why do you suppose it's so rewarding for me to help people lose weight in healthcare? Why do you think?
Because it's the most beneficial for your health.
Yeah, that is it. She's got the answers. Sorry, he came with the one that knows all the answers. That is. So if we were to look at the top 4 killers in the United States, health-wise, what are they? Cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, COVID. So of those, how many of those have a weight component to them? All of them. And so if we're going to take the one thing that's common across all the top 4 killers in the United States and we remove that, what happens to the health of us as a nation? And what happens to the health of the individual? So this is why it's so fulfilling for me, is because I feel like we're getting to the underlying cause of a lot of the health concerns and a lot of the health problems that we have in the United States. So I'm excited to show it to you. So that's a little about myself. Let's find out about you. How many of you have known somebody that's done Billings Last Diet before? Yeah, always. This is an easy class, And so a lot of times we'll have somebody who did a little research on it or heard about it, but they didn't know anybody. And they're a little bit of a harder person. Here's the reason why. Is the diet industry a deceptive industry? Absolutely. Watch TV. And they've got all these diet ads up. Then they'll put up a before picture and they'll put up a really nice after picture. But what does it say in the bottom right-hand corner of that really nice after picture?
These are not typical.
Results not typical, which means what? If you're a typical kind of individual, you cannot expect to get the results we just showed you on TV. Isn't that a little deceptive? Yeah. And so we've got a few before and after pictures up. What's missing in the bottom right-hand corner?
The disclaimer.
Yeah, there's not a disclaimer, results not typical. And the reason why? Our results are typical. If you'll follow the program the way we'll show it to you this evening, you can get the results of the people you've heard about or the people you see on the wall. And the reason our results are typical is this isn't a gimmick, this isn't a trick, this is a diet that's based on science. So I'll share with you, before you came, we had what we call a graduating class. We had 5 in our graduating class. And the total weight loss of our graduating class was 256.3 pounds. Divide that by 5, that's 51.26 pounds per person. This program works, and the reason it works is because it's not a gimmick, it's not a trick, it's a diet that's based on science. And I like to say, if you know how your body works, you can make it work to your advantage. If you don't know how your body works, the food industry is going to take advantage of that and make it work to their advantage. And is the food industry interested in your health? No. What are they interested in? Your pocketbook, and that's it. And so we're going to show you how your body works, which means we get to talk about science. Aren't you glad you came tonight? So we're going to do it in a fun format so it's not too boring. We're going to take a 30-pound weight loss program. Want to lose 30 pounds? You start on a bookstore diet. You go to the bookstore and you start on this bookstore diet. In the course of losing 30 pounds on your bookstore diet, you lose 20 pounds of fat, which is good, and 10 pounds of muscle. Is that so good? Not so good. When you go off the bookstore diet, what happens? What do you gain back? Fat. What don't you gain back?
Muscle.
The muscle. So you say, hey, I need to lose weight, so I'm going to do this as seen on TV diet. In the course of losing 30 pounds as seen on TV, you lose 20 pounds of fat and 10 pounds of muscle. When you go off the as seen on TV diet, what happens? Fat comes back, fat muscle doesn't come back. And then you do it again and again. And now we call this yo-yo diet. When you yo-yo diet, you trade out muscle and replace it with fat. Does anybody see a problem with that? Yeah. Does anybody not see a problem with that? So I'm going to introduce a term to you called BMR, basal metabolic rate. Base metabolic rate, which is how many calories you burn in the course of a day if you're laying on the couch all day. Now, do you burn calories if you lay on the couch all day? Yes. Absolutely you do. So if I have a person with, as long as you're alive, you're burning calories. So if I have a person with 30 pounds less muscle and lay them on a couch, have a person with 30 pounds more muscle and lay them on a couch, who burns more calories while laying on the couch? The one with muscle, because muscle is the primary determinant of what your metabolism is, a primary contributor to your base metabolic rate. So when you're losing weight, which you're interested in doing, does it matter to you what kind of weight you're losing?
Yes.
Yes. What do you want to lose? Fat. So we're going to show you a three-phase protocol tonight. The first phase is designed to be a fat-burning, muscle-sparing protocol. So when you lose 30 pounds, you lose 30 pounds of fat and you spare that lean body mass. Second phase is a stabilization phase. Third phase is a maintenance phase. We'll talk about that in a minute. So fat-burning, muscle-sparing protocol, so we reserve your metabolic rate, your base metabolic rate. So muscle is the largest determinant of your base metabolic rate. Can you think of anything else that's going to contribute to your base metabolic rate? That's how many calories while you're laying on the couch. So we're not going to add in physical activity. We'll add it in a minute. But what else determines how many calories while you're burning while you're laying on the couch?
Age.
Age?
Just your organs, your regular body activity.
Yep. So what we eat, how your body's functioning makes a difference. You think age makes a difference on metabolism?
Yes.
Absolutely does. Yeah, so, and it's really not age so much, but around 40, I know about this because I'm well over it. Around 40, your metabolism starts to change. Nobody else has noticed that, and if you're not 40, that's something you look forward to. Doesn't matter if you're male or female, your metabolism is going to change when you're about 40. Why does your metabolism change when you're about 40? Hormones. It's because your hormones change. And do hormones determine base metabolic rate? Have an effect on your base metabolic rate? Absolutely does. So if you know anybody with a thyroid problem, thyroid regulates metabolism, largely regulates metabolism. There are other hormones as well. So hormones determine base metabolic rate. Muscle mass determines base metabolic rate. If we add physical activity to that base metabolic rate, then we get something called our total metabolic rate, the total number of calories you burn in the course of a day. So can you see that everybody's total metabolic rate is going to be different? Different muscle mass, different hormone level, different physical activity level. But we're going to assign everybody here, just for demonstration purposes only, everybody here gets the same metabolic rate. The metabolic rate you all get assigned is 2,000 calories. Where do I get that number from? Yeah, off the side of your cereal box, it says U.S. recommended daily allowance of this vitamin or mineral based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Now, for some that's going to be too high, and for some it's going to be too low, but that's the number we're going to use just for demonstration. Where do you get your calories from? Yeah, what we eat or what we drink. Wasn't a trick question. So watch, if I have a 2,000 calorie intake of food, and if I have a 2,000 calorie metabolic rate, how many calories are left over? 9. It's called a balanced caloric diet. You're not gaining weight, you're not losing weight, you're staying the same. What happens though if I play with the numbers? And I have a 2,500 calorie intake of food and a 2,000 calorie metabolic rate. Well, now I've got an extra 500 calories. That extra 500 calories is going to circulate in your blood for about a 24-hour period of time. If it's not consumed during that 24 hours, the body says, this is extra energy. Store for future use. And where does it store for future use? I don't want an anatomical location. I want a tissue. That's where fat comes from. What happens on this day? Well, now I have a caloric deficit. of 500 calories. Your body cannot live in a caloric deficit. If it can't make that caloric deficit up, that's called literally starving to death. So you have to make up that caloric deficit. So where does the body go to make up that caloric deficit? It goes to fat, and where else? Muscle, which is why in a 30-pound weight loss program, 20 pounds fat, 10 pounds muscle. We'll see that science in just a minute. Where do you want it to go? You want it to go to fat. So we'll devise a fat-burning, muscle-sparing protocol. So what's this? It's a beautiful replica of 1 pound of fat. Now what is it really? It's really just extra calories that you consumed in the past that got stored for future use. So my question for you today is, how many extra calories in a pound of fat? How many calories in a pound of fat? This is a smart group. Did all of you come to the class before? She did. 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. Now what that means is, how do I build one of these?
5 days like that.
By consuming 500 extra calories 5 days a week, and in 1 week you gain an extra pound of fat. That's correct. So by consuming 3,500 more calories than you burn, you gain a pound of fat. So that's how you build one. Now you know how to build one. Do you want to know how to make one go away? How do you make one go away? It's the same math, it's just in reverse. You have to burn 3,500 more calories than you consume in order to make a pound of fat go away. So now you know how to make one, and now you know how to make one go away. Who gets to be responsible if you're making them or making them go away? Now we start to figure out how your body works. We're going to build off that educational understanding of how many calories in a pound of fat to determine how do we lose the weight now, how do we keep it off for the rest of your life. So we're going to build on that educational of how many calories in a pound of fat? 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. I'll ask you a bunch more times just to remind you how many calories in a pound of fat by the time we're done. So you've heard this story before. It's called the calories in versus calories out story. If it's a matter of calories in versus calories out, which that's part of the story, it's not all of it, but does it make sense that I can increase my physical activity level to lose weight? That's called exercise to lose weight. Does it work? You all join me, whether you want to or not. You go like this. Science says it does work. Does it work as fast as you think it should work? Is it as easy as you think it should be? And the reason is we have twisted thinking, particularly in the United States, about exercise and weight loss. We think it's way easier to lose weight through exercise than it really is. So let me walk you through just a little bit of exercise and weight loss math. Let's take two individuals. One individual weighs 150 pounds, another individual weighs 200 pounds. We're going to exercise them to lose weight. The exercise we're going to do is a walk. Standard walking pace, 2.5 miles per hour. So just a standard walking pace. We're going to walk these people until they burn 1 pound of fat, which was how many calories? 3,500. So my question is, how long does this 150-pound person need to walk in order to burn 1 pound of fat or 3,500 calories? The answer is in hours, not minutes. How many hours do you think it takes? 10 hours. Anybody else? 20. You're about right in the middle. It's 16 hours of walking in order to burn a pound of fat. Now this 200-pound individual is going to burn it faster because it takes more energy for him to walk. It's still 12 hours of walking in order to burn it. It doesn't work like we think it does. So I run. That's what I do for sanity purposes. So any of you have worked out on a treadmill before? Okay, so I run. I put my treadmill in a 7.5. Now, tell them that's not a jog. That's not a walk, that's not a jog, that's a run. 30 minutes of running on my treadmill counts calories. I burn about 500 calories in a morning run. If I'm going to exercise to lose weight by running 7.5 on the treadmill, 30 minutes a day, how many days a week do I need to run on that treadmill in order to lose 1 pound of fat? It looks like every day of the week to me as well. It just doesn't work like we think it does. A marathon, how far is a marathon?
26 miles.
26.2, and I'll tell you the 0.2 makes a difference after the first 26. Average marathoner burns about 3,500 calories to run a marathon. So I don't want anybody ever here to say, Dr. Williams didn't think exercise is important. I'm going to tell you, is exercise critical to any successful long-term weight loss program? Absolutely. Why? Because it burns so many calories? No. What does it do? Builds muscle or maintains muscle. Maintains or builds your base metabolic rate. And so that's where it's critical. A lot of people will start a workout program like in January. They'll watch what they'll eat for 2 weeks. They're working out regularly and they lose weight. After 2 weeks, what happens to the watching what they eat? Because I'm working out regularly, now I go back to the way I was eating, and what happens to their weight loss? Stables out. After the first month, 2 weeks of not losing weight, 2 weeks of losing weight, now 2 weeks of not losing weight, some people will fall off. Some people will say, well, I'm going to stick with this. So they go into February. And some will even go into March. And they don't lose weight. And they think this working out doesn't work. And working out really does work to help you maintain your weight, which is what they do while they're working out. But it's kind of bad at helping you lose weight because it doesn't work like you think it does. So exercise is critical for long-term success, but not for the reason you think it is. It's because it helps you build your metabolism or maintain your metabolism. So how do we do it through Billings' Last Diet? We do it through what you eat or what you don't eat. Everything you eat, everything you drink falls under 3 big food categories. What are our 3 big food categories? Protein. Can't come to an ideal protein seminar without talking about protein. Yep. Carbs and fats. So everything's a carb, protein, or fat, or a combination of these. So we want to identify what are our carbs, what are our proteins, and what are our fats. So let's list them out. What are our carbohydrates? So bread, pasta, we'll get it with all grains. I heard potatoes, not just potatoes, but all vegetables, as well as all fruits. What else? Candy. In case you didn't know, that's called sugar, right? So that's candy, cookies, cake. We'll get it. Anything good tends to be a carbohydrate. Alcohol, carbohydrate. So what are our proteins? Meat, fish, eggs, soy, nuts, beans, legumes. We're going to put nuts, beans, and legumes. Knowing that it's a primary protein, know that there's some carbs and some fats in there. We do the same with dairy. We're going to list it as a primary protein, knowing there's some carbs, sometimes a lot of fat, sometimes a little fat, depending on your dairy choice. By the way, there's some fats in those as well. Our fats, our plant oils or fats, everything's better with?
Butter.
Butter, I agree. And your animal fats or your lards are also fats. So you have a general idea what a carb, what a protein, what a fat is. Is there any food you're wondering what food category it might fall under that we didn't list? Avocado, good. Avocados are nature's balance. There's fats, of course, in avocado. There's protein in avocado, and there's also carbohydrates. So it's kind of a combination of those. But it's pretty heavy in the fat department. Good fats, but it's heavy in the fat part. Any other foods? Late 1980s, early 1990s, the United States government said, our people aren't very healthy. So we're going to teach them to eat right. And they devised this thing called, and they said if you'll eat according to the food pyramid, you'll be healthy. What was at the base of the food pyramid? Carbohydrates. Proteins were in the middle and the fats were on the top. Because we were supposed to be eating a base of carbohydrates, what happened to our carbohydrate intake? Our protein intake has gone down, especially since protein got so expensive. Did anybody notice? And then our fat intake, somehow we missed the small triangle on the top of the food pyramid, and our fat intake went way up. Now, why did our fat intake go way up?
Fast food.
Yeah, what do you call it when you put a fat and a carbohydrate together? What's that called? Yummy! Yes, donut, ice cream, buttered popcorn, French fry, potato chip. The food industry said, hey, look, if we put fats and carbohydrates together and it tastes good, guess what people will do? They'll buy it and they'll eat more of it. So now we have a whole industry based on putting fats and carbohydrates together. What's that industry called? Fast food. Look at the menu. It's fats and carbohydrates combined together. This type of eating has got us to where we are as a nation today. And how are we doing as a nation today? Oh, I beg to differ. We're number one. We're number one in obesity because of the way we're eating. So watch. If you're driving a bus, meaning you're the bus driver, you're headed toward a cliff. The name of the cliff is obesity. What's at the bottom of the cliff? If you're driving the bus toward the cliff of obesity, doesn't it make sense that you ought to slow the bus down, stop the bus, put the bus in reverse, and back yourself out of the problem? That's what we do at Billings Last Diet. We slow the bus down, put the bus in reverse to help back you out of the program, back you out of the problem, by decreasing your carbs, increasing your proteins, and decreasing your fats. Now, once you're back to where you want to be, the goal isn't to repeat the trip. The goal is to make a lifestyle change that's congruent with your current weight loss so you keep that weight off for the rest of your life. So phase 1, this fat-burning, muscle-sparing protocol is going to look like this. Decrease carbs, increase proteins, and decrease fats. Once you're back to where you want to be, then we go into something called phase 2. It's one of the biggest missing components of diets, in my opinion, and that is called the stabilization phase. During the stabilization phase, we're going to figure out what it takes to help you stabilize your weight loss. Then we can move you into phase 3, which is the maintenance side of weight loss. Does that make sense? So during stabilization and weight loss, we're going to put you through a scientific process to determine how many carbs, how many proteins, and how many fats do you need to eat in a balanced manner so you can keep that weight off for the rest of your life. Does that make sense? All right. Food pyramid. The food pyramid makes sense? Food pyramid never made sense. Why didn't it make sense? Because it wasn't based on science. What was it based on? Food lobbying in Washington, D.C. And so they modified it about 4 times. Finally, they said, it's not salvageable. They've trashed it. Now they don't teach it anymore. Now it's taught as the plate. And the plate is way more accurate than the food pyramid was. There's still food lobbying in that plate, but it's way more healthy than the food pyramid ever was. All right. So carbs, proteins, and fats. Carbs, proteins, and fats all turn into one primary source of energy. That primary source of energy it turns into happens to be a sugar called glucose. So watch. Carbohydrates turn into glucose. Proteins turn into glucose, and so do fats turn into glucose. Now it's important that you know a carbohydrate turns into glucose faster than a protein, which turns into glucose faster than a fat, another way of saying it. Carbohydrates are easier to digest than proteins, which are easier to digest than fats. Now, I want you to look at the carbohydrate list. Pretend you can read what I wrote. Are all carbohydrates created equal? No. Absolutely not. What's the difference between candy and cauliflower?
Natural.
Taste, I'll give you taste every time. Yeah, one's natural and one's not. Nutrition-wise, what's the difference? Well, one's called an empty calorie, meaning there's only energy and no nutrients, and one's a nutrient dense. How fast does candy turn into glucose? That fast. Sucrose, that's table sugar, that's what we make candy out of. When you put sucrose in your mouth, there's an enzyme in your mouth called amylase, and that amylase divides that sucrose and releases the glucose immediately into the blood. How fast does cauliflower turn into glucose? Yeah, it doesn't happen in your mouth. That's why it doesn't taste as good. It has to go clear through the digestive system in the small intestine to release the glucose to be absorbed by the body. So one of these simply turns into glucose or turns into sugar, so we call it a simple carbohydrate. One's hard to turn into glucose, so we call it a complex, and that's where simple and complex carbohydrates came from. This was a big problem with the food pyramid. We didn't distinguish between simple and complex carbohydrates. We said they're all created equal. Well, they're as different as candy is to cauliflower. They have very different physiological effects in the body as well. Very good. So glucose. If glucose is your primary source of energy, how important do you think it is to have glucose in your body?
You You don't have it, you die.
It's that important. If you don't have glucose, you're dead. So you have to have glucose all the time. Because you have to have glucose all the time, does that mean you have to eat all the time? No, and the reason you don't have to eat all the time is because your body, it's so important for you to have it, it stores glucose in gas tanks. So you can get from one meal to the next without dying. Convenient, don't you think? So whatever you ate before you came tonight, carb, protein, or fat, or a combination of these, has now been turned into glucose, and it's circulating where?
Bloodstream.
In your bloodstream. So your first source of energy is your blood glucose or your blood sugars. And as I'm droning on and on here, you're pulling out of this blood glucose gas tank. If I keep you here long enough, what's going to happen? That's going to go low enough, it's going to say the body has to have energy from somewhere else. If I'm not feeding you, what's the next easiest thing to turn into glucose? Where do you have protein if I'm not feeding you? Your next gas tank is your muscle protein. Now your body will start to chew on itself, turn it into glucose so you can continue to live. Simultaneously, they're going to the last gas tank. And what's in the last gas tank? Why is it the last gas tank? Yeah, because life's not fair. That's why it's the last gas tank. Yeah, it's the hardest thing to turn into glucose. But it does turn into glucose. And this is the process that happens when we restrict your food intake. We put you in a caloric deficit. Now you have to make up that caloric deficit by going through these 3 gas tanks. In a 30-pound weight loss program, you lose about 10 pounds of muscle and 20 pounds of fat. Now you see the science as to why that is. Now, are you happy with this? No, because this goofs up our metabolism. So what the body's looking for when it comes to this muscle protein, it's just looking for protein. So what if we were to give you a dietary source of protein? How much protein? Let's give you the ideal amount of protein. There's not enough energy in there, so it'll come up to this fat gas tank, but now it'll spare that lean body mass. And now instead of losing 10 pounds of muscle and 20 pounds of fat, now we'll lose 30 pounds of fat. We now have a fat-burning, muscle-sparing protocol. So what's in the packet? Protein. How much? The ideal amount to keep you out of the lean body mass to get you into the fat-burning mode. So there's 18 grams in this chocolate drink. There's 18 grams of high-quality bioavailable protein. The ideal amount to keep you out of lean body mass to get you in the fat-burning mode. So why does the body come to this protein instead of my muscle protein? Yeah. How hard is it to digest steak? Hard. How hard is it to digest baby food? Okay, it's not baby food, it's diet food, but it's like baby food, and the term is it's more bioavailable. It's easier to digest, so the body will take the path of least resistance coming to the protein. So 18 grams to 20 grams of high-quality bioavailable protein in the packets. Anything in there to rev your metabolism? No. Anything in there to suppress your appetite? No. We don't do gimmicks. We don't do tricks here. It's just the ideal amount of protein. Now you're using what as your primary source of energy to make up that caloric deficit? Fat. And how many calories do I have to pull out of this gas tank to make one of these go away? 3,500. And every time 3,500 comes out, one of these goes away. When you're using fat as your primary source of energy, your body goes into a physiological response called, or physiological process called ketosis. So 14 years ago when I started teaching this program, nobody had heard of ketosis. Is there anybody who hasn't heard of keto or ketosis now? So about 7 years ago, it became all the rage. And so it was great because it was good on an educational basis, but now people think ketosis or keto is a diet. It's not. It's a physiological process of using fat as your primary source of energy. And so we're going to utilize ketosis. You're going to be in ketosis to burn fat. So now you're burning fat as your primary source of energy. How many days a week or how many hours a day are you burning your fat for your primary source of energy? You got to tell me you can burn fat while you sleep? Yeah, as long as you're still alive while you're sleeping. And so this is why the weight comes off so fast, because we're going to do 24-hour-a-day ketosis. So ladies will lose on an average 2, 3, 4 pounds of fat per week. So how will men do? Better. Why? Because life's not fair. That's why. It's because we're jerks, whatever you want to call it about, but it's because we're different. We have a different base metabolic rate. We have more muscle than you have, which means our metabolism is generally higher. And even though I'm well over 40, I still have more testosterone than you have. I just don't have as much as he's got. And when my testosterone level's lower, then that slows up my metabolism. But we still have more. And some men have more of a physically active lifestyle than ladies. That's the reason why. Because we're different. So men will lose 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds of fat per week. Now don't you be hating on us. 2, 3, 4 pounds of fat per week compared to running on a treadmill at a 7.5. How many days a week? Every day of the week in order to burn how many pounds?
1.
1. It's not so bad compared to that. So good. Just don't compare yourself to a man. Any questions on that? All right. So how many of you want to get in this gas tank? Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah. What has to happen to this gas tank, though, before you can get into this one? That one has got to be empty. How long does it take to empty that gas tank? About 3 to 4 days. What's the hardest part of the whole program? Those first 3 to 4 days. Because what are we going to do to your blood glucose levels? We drop your blood glucose levels. When we drop your blood glucose levels, what happens to your energy levels? They go down as well. When your blood glucose levels are down, your energy levels are down, what happens to your cravings? They go through the roof. And what do you crave? Romaine lettuce and celery sticks? So just know day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, your blood glucose levels are down, your energy levels are going down, and your cravings are going to go through the roof. I promise you, if you don't give in to the cravings, you will not die. It just feels like you're going to die. And you put it off for that 3rd day, 4th day, and then the body says, she's not giving me energy, he's not giving me energy. I've got to find energy somewhere else. So it'll kick into this process called ketosis after that 3 to 4 days, and then your blood glucose levels will come out of the depths of despair. Your energy levels will come up. And the cool thing is, once you get into ketosis, it's a nice, smooth ride when you're in ketosis. People who have been on the diet 3 weeks will say, I haven't had this kind of energy for years. And the reason is, before, when your blood glucose levels dropped and you get hangry, when you get hangry, the television says you're supposed to do what? Eat a Snickers candy bar, and you eat a Snickers candy bar. When you eat a Snickers candy bar, what happens to your blood glucose levels? They spike like this. Now your pancreas kicks out a bunch of energy. Then what happens? That's the crash that happens after you eat a Snickers candy bar. So you eat a bagel. You spike your blood glucose levels, your pancreas kicks out a bunch of energy, and it crashes. So you eat a bag of potato chips. And you ride this roller coaster ride of energy. And how many of you like the roller coaster? Nobody likes the roller coaster. So in order to avoid the roller coaster, you eat more often. What's the problem with eating more often? That's where we accumulate too many calories. So if you don't like the roller coaster, I say get off the roller coaster and get into ketosis. Once you're in ketosis, it's a nice, steady energy ride. Cool thing about ketosis is you'll also have a decrease in your appetite. It's a natural appetite suppressant. Your cravings decrease when you're in ketosis. They don't go away, but they decrease. Where before you couldn't walk by the bowl of M&Ms without having a few, now you're not even tempted. So get into that ketosis. Any questions on that? Very good. So let's fast forward you.
Why do you bypass the tank that has the muscle in it?
And so because it's just looking for protein. And we're going to give it the protein instead of having muscle protein. We're going to give them an easier form use. So these happen simultaneously. It comes by these both. So it uses the protein from the ideal protein packet and the fat for its source of energy. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So let's fast forward you 3 weeks. You're doing great. Your cravings are down. Your energy levels are up. You're losing your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds of fat per week. Now, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and you go to the break room. And when you go to the break room, what do you find?
Lots of donuts.
As you walk in the door, a donut accosts you and jumps down your throat. When that donut accosts you and jumps down your throat, what happens to this gas tank? And what happens to this fat burning process? It stops. There are some foods we eat that fill this gas tank up so fast it stops the fat burning process. Donuts happens to be one of those foods. You simply cannot eat donuts and be in ketosis at the same time. It just doesn't work physiologically. So now you know why you can't eat the donut. And now you're more liable to comply. If you know how your body works, you can make it work to your advantage. Now you can think of a whole bunch of other things that are going to fill that gas tank up so fast. Besides the donuts, I will surprise you with a few things that you won't be eating because it fills that gas tank up so fast in a minute or two. Any questions on that? All right, so how many calories in a pound of fat?
35.
What's it called when the donut accosts you and jumps down your throat? What's that called? I'll write it carefully so you can read it. It's called cheating. What's the key to the diet? No cheating. Just don't eat foods that fill this gas tank up so fast it stops that fat burning process. Any questions? All right. This is how your body works. You need to have a general idea of how your body works and then understand why you're doing on the program what we show you to do on the program. Now, I know all of you have photographic memories, but just in case your memory sticks a little full or you ran out of copy paper for your photograph, there is, thank you. There's a copy of something we just reviewed. That's just a summary of what we just went through. You've got the carbs, proteins, and fats all turning into glucose, going through the 3 gas tanks, keeping you out of the lean body mass or the muscle protein by giving you the ideal amount of protein to get in the fat burning mode. The very bottom says 3,500. You know what that means. Now let's concentrate on the red writing in the middle. The red writing in the middle says if you're 100% dedicated to the program, you get how much success?
100.
What does the next line say? 80% dedication gets 10% success. Now that's not fair, but we've already determined that life's not fair. So this is the way it works. You don't kind of do the program. This isn't a diet where you say, I'm just going to give it a try. I'm just going to give it a try. If you're just going to give it a try, go try something else. This one won't work. This is a diet where you say, I'm all in. If you're all in, you'll get all the results. So I like to say ketosis is a lot like pregnancy. Do you flirt with being pregnant?
Yep.
Nope, you either are or you aren't. I like to say it's like marriage. You can't cheat and expect it to work. And so, you understand that? How much have I talked about the product?
0.
I've shown you a packet and that's it. The reason, this does not make you lose weight. That would be called a gimmick, and we don't do gimmicks. This is how you lose weight. This is your body's typical, natural, normal fat-burning process. We simply use the product to access this process and skip that lean body mass to get you into that fat-burning mode. Now, I'm going to review with you the product, give you a little bit of the product, as well as the process, the 3-phase process that we're going to go through. So I've already mentioned that there's 3 phases, and I've mentioned them briefly. I'll go through them a little more. 3-phase program. The first phase is that weight loss phase. That's that fat-burning, muscle-sparing program where we get you into ketosis. You'll be in ketosis until you've burned 100% of the fat you want to burn. Then you move into phase 2. After you burn the amount of fat you want to burn, you move into phase 2. That's that stabilization phase. During stabilization phase is when we figure out what the carb, proteins, and fats you need in order to keep that weight off for the rest of your life. At stabilization phase, you're going to be in stabilization until you stabilize. Most people will be in stabilization during that scientific discovery and maintenance or stabilization time for about 2 months. Then after you're in stabilization, then we roll you into maintenance. And how long is maintenance? Just until you're dead. We come to your funeral and said, here lies successful dieter, lost the weight and kept it off the rest of your life. So I can't say this with enough passion. I don't want you to start the program unless you're committing to how many phases? We want Billings' last diet to be your last diet. Let us help you keep that weight off for the rest of your life. So let's review phase 1. Phase 1 looks like this. There's a breakfast, there's a lunch, there's a dinner, and there's a snack. IP stands for ideal protein. That's the name of the product we utilize. So for breakfast, you're going to take your chocolate drink, take your handy-dandy shaker, put the water in the shaker, the packet in there, shake it up and drink it, and you have 18 grams of high-quality bioavailable protein. The ideal amount of protein, keep you out of lean body mass, get you into fat-burning mode. What if you don't like chocolate drink for breakfast? then have one of the other drinks. And there's a lot of different, there's about 7 other flavors of drinks you can have. What if you don't want to drink for breakfast? Well, you might have an omelet, a cheese omelet for breakfast. Then you take your packet, your water, put them together, shake it up, cook it up as a scrambled egg or as an omelet. Or you might have pancakes or cereal or oatmeals. They're all packets that have the ideal amount of protein. So that's what's for breakfast. What's for lunch? A packet. Do we care which one? No, they're all going to have the ideal amount of protein. So there's soup, there's other entrees, there's about 84 different products back there that you can have as your product for your ideal protein product. In addition to that ideal protein product, say a soup or whatever it is, you're going to have 2 cups of vegetables. Now, are these any old vegetables? Nope. Which ones are not on the list? The ones you like. No carrots, no potatoes, no peas, no beets, no corn, no squash, orange squash. Why are these not on the list? Starchier vegetable. The starchier the vegetable, the faster it turns into sugar, glucose. And so they turn into glucose so fast it stops that fat burning process. So eating these vegetables would be called,
Zucchini.
and what's the key to the diet?
No zucchini.
And how many calories in a pound of fat? You're getting the idea. So those 6 vegetables you won't have, but there's a whole bunch of vegetables you can have, and some of them you can have an unlimited amount of. But those 6 you won't have because of the fat, stopping that fat burning process. So that's what's for lunch. For dinner, 4 to 6 ounces of a protein source. This is a natural protein source. So it's going to be beef or chicken or fish or pork or wild game or frog legs or eggs. There's a large selection that you can choose from. It's not 4 to 6 ounces of bacon. That's going to be your leaner cuts of meat, but 4 to 6 ounces. In addition to that, you're going to have 2 more cups of vegetables. And then sometime during the day, you're going to have a snack. Now, it's written at the bottom of the program. Doesn't mean you have to have it at night. You can have it whenever you want. Morning, mid-afternoon, evening, whenever. Just make sure you get 3 packets of protein plus your natural protein source to give you the ideal amount of protein. How many cups of vegetables? A total of 4 cups of vegetables. We don't care really when you get those. Just get them in the day. How many cups of fruit?
0.
What? No fruit? I thought fruit was good for you. It is good for you. Then why no fruit? Fructose goes to glucose, goes to sucrose, goes to glucose so fast it stops the fat burning process. So this was hard for people to understand when I first started teaching this, because everybody knows the best way to lose weight is to eat more fruits and vegetables and exercise more. How has that worked as we've been preaching this for 40 or 50 years now? Hasn't worked so well. So here's the best way I've come to describe the no fruit. Does eating apples make you fat? Nope. Eating apples won't make you fat. Does eating an apple keep you from burning fat? Yep. 1 apple? Yes. Stops the fat burning process. So that's why the no fruit. Just during the weight loss phase, no fruit. Now, because you're missing some nutrients by not having fruit, you'll use a supplement designed to make up the difference, a multi designed to make up the difference, so you don't get malnourished while you're on the program. There's a little bit of fat in that 4 to 6 ounces, but remember that wasn't bacon, so it's a little bit of fat. There's not enough. You'll need 2 teaspoons of oil every day. There's a selection of the oils that you can choose from. You can put them on a salad, you can saute your vegetables, you can drink it. We don't care, just make sure you get your fats in. 64 ounces of water a day. Now, I can't tell you gently, so I'll tell you straight up. When you start the program, you are going to pee a lot. Now, there's reasons, physiological reasons for that. I won't go through that, but when you throw off all that water, you need to make it up. So you need 64 ounces of water a day. When you throw off when you pee a lot, you throw off that water, you lose calcium, magnesium, and potassium. We don't want you to get electrolyte imbalance or demineralized, so you'll use calcium, magnesium, potassium supplements as well while you're in that weight loss phase. Anything else you want to drink besides water? Good, let's move on.
Coffee.
Oh, we got it in there. Yes, coffee. Black? Oh, work with me. Let's start with black.
No.
So for every cup of black coffee you have, you need to increase your water intake by the amount of coffee you drink. So the coffee is a diuretic. The Caffeine is a diuretic. So 8-ounce cup of coffee, you're now at 72 ounces of water. If you want a sweeter, creamier coffee, there's a pre-made vanilla drink that works really great as a creamer for your coffee and a sweetener for the coffee. Works real well. There's also recipes if you want a frou-frou type coffee, they'll give you recipes for those. Same with tea. If you're drinking iced tea or something that's unsweetened, you'll need to increase the water because the caffeine is a diuretic. Any popaholics in the room? Good. You'll do best with no pop. If there was a popaholic, we said you can get away with one 12-ounce can of diet soda a day.
What about Crystal Light?
So we're going to call those flavored waters. Lump them all into one thing of flavored waters. Crystal Light, Mia Water, Powerade Zero, Vitamin Zero. There's a bunch of them out there. 4 servings a day of those flavored waters. You can use 4 servings a day. Anything else you want to drink that I can take away? Alcohol. Alcohol is processed through which organ? Liver. Fat is processed through which organ? Liver. Nothing will stop ketosis faster or keep you out longer than alcohol. No alcohol, first phase. So if you can't do no alcohol first phase, this just isn't the right program for you. Do a different program. No alcohol first phase. It's dangerous to be in nutritional ketosis and be drinking alcohol. So no alcohol. We'll show you how to introduce it into phase 2, beginning of phase 3, if you want it as a part of your lifestyle, to where we can keep that weight off for the rest of your life. That's phase 1. Any questions on phase 1? That's the weight loss phase. Happy dance time when you get through that weight loss phase because you've lost the amount of weight you want, and now you get to go to phase 2. In phase 2, foods come back that you've been missing. So we're going to back out the ideal protein products and put you onto more real foods. So whole grains will come back, dairy comes back, fruit comes back. Now we're going to introduce it in a scientific manner, figuring out the right carbs, proteins, and fat. And it's different for everybody, but over that stabilization phase, those 2 months, we'll figure out what the proper carb, protein, and fat, how much you can add back in and not have you gain weight. After you stabilize, then you move into phase 3, and that's for the rest of your life. Any questions on the phases? Good. Any questions on cost? Good. No questions on cost. All right, let's go through the cost. You've probably already all heard it's about $18 a day. There is a one-time consultation fee. One-time consultation fees are charged how many times? That's why it's called a one-time consultation fee. It's worth $5,000 because we only charge it one time. And we want to be your diet coach for how long? The rest of your life. So it's worth a lifetime consultation. But if you act in the next 30 seconds, it's a $50 consultation fee built into your startup cost of $348.81. 50 of it is a consultation fee. Also built into that $348.81 is a lifetime of BCA. BCA stands for Body Composition Analysis. It's our instrument over here that tells us how you're doing on the program. Each week you'll come in, you'll do a measurement, a body composition analysis. It'll tell us how many pounds of fat you have. It'll tell us how many pounds of muscle you have, what your hydration level is. It tells us what your base metabolic rate is. It shocks you if you cheat. No, it doesn't shock you if you cheat, but it's our best way of telling how you're doing on the program. So a lifetime body composition analysis is included in $348.81. The rest of the $348.81 is your startup kit. Your startup kit is going to give you everything you need to get started on the program. So we're going to start you with 4 boxes of protein a day. You're only going to need, or not a day, for the week. You're only going to need 3 a week. But we start you the first week with 4. The reason is, the hardest part of the program is the first 3 to 4 days. If you need an extra packet of protein a day, you can have an extra packet of protein until you kick into that ketosis. So 4 boxes of protein, handy dandy shakers included in your startup kit. Months worth of nutrients, there's a water bottle in there, some water enhancers, and for the gentlemen in the group, we have this very fine-looking, eco-friendly carrying case that's included in your startup kit. It's way more masculine looking than the old ones used to be. So your startup cost, $348.81, gives you a $50 consultation fee, lifetime body $50 lifetime consultation, lifetime body composition analysis, over a week's worth of food, a month's worth of nutrients. Now you come back the next week, you need 3 more boxes of food. It's $130 per week. That's how it comes out to be about $18 a day. That's in which phase? Phase 1. At the end of the first month of phase 1, you're going to run out of supplements. We're going to give you more supplements. You've already paid for them in advance. So there's no surprise at the end of a month. It's a straight fee of $130 per week. Does that make sense? So no surprises. At the end of phase 1, you go into phase 2. We're going to start to back out the Idea Protein product. So we're going to cut that cost in half. It's going to go to $65 per week in phase 2. 2 months or so in phase 2, then you go into phase 3. Phase 3, we'll show you how to do phase 3 for $0 a month. Now, if you can do phase 3 for $0 a month, $0 a product, you've already paid your lifetime consultation fee, how much does it cost you to visit with a diet coach? Nothing. We want long-term success. We build it easy to do long-term. And so we want Billings Last Diet to be your last diet. Any other questions on costs? Not everybody qualifies for the program. Cannot have had a heart attack in the last 6 months. Need to be cancer-free for 3 years. There's some exceptions to that. You have to have at least one good kidney. Can't have cirrhosis of the liver. Can't be pregnant or nursing. You can't be on lithium. And you have to be motivated to do the program. Now, we've already talked about you have to be all in. How do we determine how motivated you are? At the bottom of your health profile, it says how important is it for you to lose the weight. If it's not an 8 or above, we won't start you till it becomes that important. Very good. So this all sounds good in theory. Theory does you no good unless you can put it into application. So how do we apply this? How do we help you get this applied? It's through the diet coaches. We have some phenomenal diet coaches, so let's introduce you to the diet coaches. Come on over, diet coaches. So this is Vanaglia. She's going to sample you a hot chocolate. Looks like the salted caramel cluster, so take one of each. And we'll start with Becky.
Hello. So I started the program in 2019, about this time, actually it was later September. My husband wanted to do it. He is a type 2 diabetic, and he wanted to do it, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. So yeah, it was just my husband and I, and listened to the talk and everything, and I'm like, I still don't want to do it. And then finally, my husband was like, I'm going to do it. I was like, okay, so I did it.
I'm a loving spouse.
Yes,
I'll support you and do it with you.
So I did it. Of course, he lost weight quicker, but I did lose weight. I started to lose weight. I had just kind of come to the conclusion why I didn't want to do it. I needed to. I was way overweight. But I just was like, I think nothing's worked. I'm just going to be fat and happy. And that's what I had decided. And then when I started to do the protocol, weight started to come off. I started to feel better. Energy was up. I could move a lot better. And in about 7 months, I lost about 50 pounds. And in 9 months, I gained about 15 back. And so I came back and did a restart and lost that and a little bit more. So I ended up losing a total of 60 pounds. So
then we said, let's have you as a diet coach.
Yeah. So, and I think that was 2021. Yeah, 2021 so I've been here for 2 years, and it's really rewarding. It's cool because we know it works, so it's really cool seeing where you guys are at, and it's like it works, and it's fun to see week to week how people progress and succeed. So
very good. Yeah.
They had just started the program in October of that year, and I'd heard rumors about it, and I had tried everything to lose weight, Weight Watchers, Slim Fast, Fan, just walking, exercise, everything. And I lost weight, but did I keep it off? No, because none of them taught me how to keep the weight off. And so I came in for chiropractic care, and I was talking to Dr. Williams and saying, I'm not impressed with people that lose weight. I'm impressed with people that keep it off. And he said, well, then that's the plan for you. So in March of that year, I started the plan. In May, I became a diet coach. So I've been here 13 years. And I lost 39 pounds. So you can see that I know that it really does work. And I've literally watched thousands of people lose weight and change their whole lifestyle, their whole countenance, being able to, working with their doctors and going off of medications. That's just been so wonderful to watch that. And every walk of life. We've had truck drivers, miners, mine workers, doctors, young mothers, nurses, dads, just whatever. And we've helped them through it all. And I've really enjoyed that part to watch people make a real life change in there. Like the one gal, she lost 162. She was 162 pounds. She was only 19.
Oh.
Huge lifestyle change for her. Huge.
So why did it work so well for her? The change. What lifestyle did she do that made the difference? And then you can throw it to Becky.
Well, the one thing is she had never cooked. She was an only child, so she had never cooked for herself. And she started cooking, and she'd come in every week, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I tried this and I tried that," and I was like, "Man, I wish you'd cook for me." But anyway, so she started the lifestyle change right from the very beginning, which we really encourage you to do so.
Yes. So how do we do that, Miss Becky?
So this is the easiest way. This is a dieter turned into a author. Her name is Geneva, and she made this recipe book that uses just the foods that are on protocol on phase 1 and also our packets that we have, and she incorporates them. And you can make use some of the protein packets to make bread out of. And then it also has just regular entrees where you can just use regular ingredients that you can get in the perimeter of your grocery store and cook stuff that's just right on track for you. And people use this and they swear by it. I have it. Leah has it. All of us diet coaches have it, and it's the best food, and it helps you in phase 1 on for the rest
So
of
do
your
you
life.
still eat foods out of the,
Oh, yeah.
the cookbook?
Yep,
So here's the
all the
key.
time.
Is if you'll find during the weight during the weight loss phase, if you'll find foods, healthy foods that are good for you and that you like, guess what you'll continue to eat even after you lose the weight. So that's the idea of developing a lifestyle in the very beginning. There are vegetables that you don't know you like. And the reason you don't really like them, you haven't had them prepared the way you like them, or you've never been introduced to them. And so during this process, and with the help of Geneva's cookbook, she'll show you how to prepare those, and the diet coaches will give you clues on those as well. So we want you to develop that lifestyle from the very beginning. Any questions for the diet coaches? Diet coaches know something about the program because
You live it.
yeah, they live it. There are 4 other diet coaches that have similar stories that have helped people as well. So, and their goal is to help you keep that weight off for the rest, to lose the weight and keep it off for the rest of your life. So, any doubt, Becky, they can lose the weight?
No doubt.
Nope, none.
How about the recipes in there? Can you do it for like with your kids and stuff
Yes,
like that? Or-
that's a great question. So
Yeah.
I actually had a dad dieter, and he was the main chef for the family. And he was so tired after like a month of preparing 2 meals. And I'm like, no. What you can do is you can come in here, you can make this pepper steak, you eat it over cauliflower rice, you serve it over for your kids over regular rice. So there's simple things. And that's our job, is each week when you come in, we give you tips like that. We help you through the cookbook, through just knowledge that we've gained, and we help you in your unique circumstances navigate through this. But yeah, it's totally doable. And I mean, I do it with my family. It's like I don't make multiple dinners anymore. It's like, this is what it is, and you can have an added starch. I'm gonna pass.
So this is where this gets me excited, is when you can figure out how to eat where it's healthy for you, and you're providing a meal for your family. Guess what your family now eats? Healthy. Now we break this generational overweight, obese generational thing that we have in the United States. That's how that'll be broken, is through the lifestyle change that we have. So
Yeah, we've had family members and
Yeah.
boyfriends and girlfriends that have lost weight without even trying.
just by association,
Right.
because they're
Because they-
eating healthy.
yes.
Right. Yes.
So-
Yep.
Thanks, diet coaches.
Thanks.
So if you want to get started on the program, you can get started on the program. If you want to go home and think about it, you can go home and think about it. No pressure one way or the other. I do want you to know, though, that there are more than 4 products back there. So if you'll follow me back into one of the diet coach rooms, I'll show you the products that are back there. Then if you do want to get started, doesn't mean you start the diet, but it means you get your packet and get ready, and then tell the diet coach when you're going to start. Come back out here and have a seat, and they can get you started. If you want to start another time or want to think about it, just let the diet coach know. How was the food, by the way?
Good.
Yeah, it's good. There's nothing wrong with that. Follow me back in one of the diet coach rooms, and we'll look through the products, and then you can get started if you'd like.